Hello, I'm Kate McKay, and welcome back to another episode of Survive to Thrive. Today, I'm very excited to introduce someone I know and love very much. His name is Brandon McGregor. Welcome, Brandon.
Hey, Kate, how's it going?
It's
Glad to be here.
doing. I'm super glad you're here. So as usual, I'm going to read the guest bio, and then we're going to get right into it. So Brandon McGregor grew up in Penn Hills in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. With a bachelor's degree in physics, he is currently pursuing a PhD in Earth and planetary science, researching the volcanoes, yes,
Wine
of Hawaii.
volcanoes, yes.
Yes, so cool. Alongside his studies, Brandon has been training to walk on the Hawaii football team to pursue his lifelong dream while inspiring others to chase their own. Amen, Brandon. Right on. So how do we know each other? I'd love you to give a little story. I'll just give an introduction. I spoke at an entrepreneur a Zoom thing a couple of years ago, and it was like 26 people, predominantly young professional guys, maybe out of just in college or just getting to leave college. And I offered a free breakthrough call, and there was like 26 people, and like 19 of them booked. So it was such a freaking blast, and Brandon was one of those people. So thank you so much for that opportunity then and now.
Yeah, it was great. So Aaron Griffin, who is a good friend of mine, he did the student painters entrepreneur experience like I did, where basically college students get an opportunity to run their own business. You don't need any experience whatsoever, just work ethic and desire, to do more, to grow, and be willing to learn and overcome challenges. So during the pandemic, Aaron put together sort of this group. He's called it a network jam session, where try to make something positive out of it, where he had like a bunch of people who, wanted to get together and meet every week. And he got some guest speakers to come on and talk to us to maybe make some new connections, inspire us, or just kind of bounce around ideas of our futures and, success and endeavors. So Kate was our very first speaker, and she really set the bar high. I mean, she came in, she was glowing. She was, telling her story. It was so moving and inspirational. And we were all just really, at least me, I was really energized after talking to Kate. I'm like, man, this girl is just energy. I love it. I just felt like, going out and getting after it. The day I think I just had to go to the lab. So I do research here. I'm in the lab right now. I don't know if you can see, but I was like, man, I'm going to go make some picks today. I'm going to pick through that data. I'm going to do the best I can. It's going to be awesome. So that's how I met Kate. And then she gave us that opportunity to reach out for a breakthrough call. And I got her social media, started following her on social media and, reading some of her posts and things. And eventually I was kicking around this idea that I wanted to try to play football here at UH. And I'd been kicking around the idea ever since I got here, ever since I went to the games and I just watching the team and looking around Aloha Stadium and just seeing a little bit of a lack of a fan base. It kind of like pissed me off a little bit. I'm like, we got to start winning some games here. We got to fill these stands, And I just started thinking, I can get out there and play. It was like, I started weight training again. I'm like, hey, this is a perfect time. I'm here in Hawaii on my own. It's a pandemic. Why not just start training and just train every day? And let's see how, fast and strong, like, let's see what kind of improvements I can make. And maybe I'll walk on the team and see how I do.
So explain, if you don't mind, just sharing your story of what that was like. Like you wanted to play in college, right? So if you just give a little background, because people think, oh yeah, he wants to walk on, but I think people don't really realize how like ridiculously absurd the dream is to some people, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I was in high school, I always had dreams of playing football at a high level. From a kid, I always want to go to the NFL. A lot of kids do, and I had sort of a situation where I bounced around a little bit. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, but I moved out to be with my dad in California. Was going through some family troubles at the time, but I ended up going out there playing my junior year, and I actually got hurt after when I was just able to play in a game. I got hurt, was out my whole junior year. For those of you who know college football or high school to college football, your junior year in high school is one of your most important years. I mean, that's when the scouts really start looking at you. So, your senior year, they're coming to talk to you, like during games and stuff, like during the season. So unfortunately, I didn't have that. And then I did have a kick-ass senior year. And I talked to some schools, but the only school that could make me an offer of some kind of scholarship, they ended up firing their whole coaching staff. I was talking to a recruiter, UC Davis, and they fired everybody and just cleaned house. And I kind of fell off the radar. So I didn't actually get an offer or anything. And I was kind of just told, by my family, just some people that I trusted, their advice and things, like my mom, even my mom, just saying, Brandon, you don't need football. You got the brains, you got straight A's, you have a 4.0, go to college, get an education. You don't need it. So I didn't pursue it.
Was your background was it blue collar, or because I know you're really uber smart, and it's kind of funny because here you are, this big jock dude, but very, very bright. So was there some challenges for you, like because you were smart and coming out of the box, maybe not from necessarily a super academic background?
Yeah, so I was really, got really good grades from when I was younger and was put into advanced programs and stuff where, I liked it when I was a kid, but when I go, get older, the smart guys, you sort of think you're a nerd, you don't want to feel like a nerd. So you kind of want to be a jock, you want to be one of the cool football guys. So that was like challenging a little bit inside, just like, sorry guys, I gotta go to my AP class, and they're like, AP class? Well, what? Get out of here, Pittsburgh. They call me Pittsburgh. And yeah, even the coach, I remember, brought it up. It was like the end of the season, and he was like, yeah, you guys gotta, take the SATs. You guys gotta get these good scores. Schools aren't even gonna look at you to play if you don't have the grades. I mean, great, that is true. I mean, schools will not look at you. Any of the younger, people who are listening, at younger guys, grades are very important in high school, very important. And schools like UC Davis, they wouldn't even have been talking to me if it wasn't for my grades and my SAT scores. So I think that was a big reason they were even pursuing me, because Davis is a really good school. So I remember him bringing it up and be like, McGregor got a 1750 SAT score. He's the highest one on the team. And I'm just like, why are you picking on me, coach?
Oh, so embarrassing.
Don't tell him that.
Right.
He's like, he could graduate in the spring. And I'm like, right. Okay.
Yeah, so, I know it's humbling, right? So what do you think that pressure is? Because we're going to talk about like the success journey. But what do you think the challenge is for younger men on that? Like it's that combination of like being smart and then being perceived as a nerd, but at the same time, because that affects your, I know you had worked through anxiety as a younger human, and still, it's something that we live with through life. Oftentimes, if we start off with it, right, it's an evolution through it. So how did anxiety play into that?
Yeah, I mean, anxiety was a big concern for me too. I mean, I remember I really got bad anxiety. It's pretty much, I always had anxiety that was pretty bad. Like if I'd have to get up and speak in front of people in class, present your class project, and everyone in class is sitting there. You think everyone's staring at you, looking at, your boogers coming out of your nose and your hair. Is my hair right? Am I wearing, do I smell, do I have sweat? You think about like all this stuff, overthinking everything. But in reality, they're probably not even paying much attention. They're probably, probably on Facebook or something, But yeah, that was something I sort of struggled with, but never really a big problem. And then when I moved to California after my sophomore year in high school, and I was out there and I was a new guy and I didn't know anybody, and the situation with my parents, like my mom and my dad, who I hadn't seen pretty much my whole life. I was out there with my dad. Pretty much, I felt like I was on my own, other than being with my dad. I didn't really know my brothers and sisters too much. My stepmom, my mom was all the way in Pittsburgh, and I started to develop anxiety. And I think it's just because I didn't feel like I had really much support out there. My dad worked all the time, but he'd spend time with me when he was off. He's a nurse and works 12-hour shifts. So my anxiety really got bad. I just remember I would get really, when I have to talk in front of people, I get really flushed. My heart would race. I would just feel like I wanted to escape the situation. And I started to sort of become more introverted. Many people might not have thought that, at the school. They might think, oh, Pittsburgh, he's like awesome, whatever. But inside I was really, had a lot of anxiety, and even just going to the grocery store and talking to people, I would just worry too much about what people thought of me. When really, if you say the wrong thing, nobody cares, nobody's gonna.
You didn't see that though, right? It's for
No,
you, it's like that's such an intense, it's overwhelming. So for the people that are listening, or even if maybe, let's just say if you're speaking to your younger self, what do you think would have helped you then? Because so much of, like, we're talking about November, the month of November, really supporting men's mental health, suicide prevention, right? Or any ways that we can support men to express themselves and to feel supported in ways that honor men as they are. What would your advice be to that younger you?
If I could go back, and I was like some kid in the school or some, teacher or something. And I mean, the trouble is you don't really know that someone's really going through that, right? That's the first thing, is you have to try to look for the signs that somebody's going through that. Because how would you really even know at that point? You just think, oh, this kid's quiet, he just doesn't talk much. So, if I could say, and I knew how I was feeling, some, like, say I opened up to myself, and told,
Right.
I was like, hey man, he's like, you're putting too much pressure on yourself. One thing, you got to let the past and what happened in the past, go. You can't dwell on what happened in the past. You can't dwell that you really hurt your mother when you decided to go all the way across the country to live with your dad, because she didn't want me to go. And I was thinking about my future. So I sort of felt like I was holding the weight, that I sort of really crushed this relationship and, betrayed her trust and everything. I had that, and all my friends back home, so I would just say, if I could tell myself, like, dude, whatever happened in the past, you did what you did for a reason, right? It's not like you did that to hurt anybody. It's not like you did it because if you thought that it would be a worse life for you, then you wouldn't have made the decision, right? And you just need to make the best of it, right? You need to talk to people. You need to open up, be honest with yourself, and don't stress out if you're not living up to what you thought this would be. Just think positive and just make the most of the opportunity and make most of everything around you. And just say, it doesn't really matter too much what someone thinks when you're giving a presentation, kids in class, watching you. Just be yourself, use it as a learning experience, and just don't stress too much about what others think of you. That was always my problem. I would just think too much about what other people think of me. You want to be perceived a certain way. And I think that's the problem today with social media and like Facebook and everything. Everyone puts all these highlights and everything the way they want to perceive. Girls and guys too, editing body parts, editing, their face, their nose, their ears. They don't like those features about themselves, but you just have to really embrace yourself and love yourself. So I think I would tell myself, you need to love yourself for who you are. Love yourself so that you can, because you can't love others until you love yourself, and it starts from inward. So really, just having the knowledge that, what happened in the past was the past, and just continuing to grow and, just pray, and I don't know.
And dream, right? I mean, that's the thing for you. I
Dream.
think because you and I have done, work together. A lot of what you and I focused on was because it's putting words to the future vision about how you want to express your meaning in this world. And that could just be like, how do you want to feel? Right? It's not necessarily like, I want this job, I want this, I want this. We knew that you want to, that we're still holding, that you're going to be the walk on, right? And in the steps you have to take into the vision, we have to know what our life is going to be like, what we want it to be like, before we can take radical action. And I think a lot of people don't step back and be like, man, how do I want to feel? Right?
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of confidence to do that. How do you define confidence from where you are right now, Brandon?
Well, I want to touch first what you said. I think the problem is with the younger people is they feel like, okay, I have to pick a job right now in high school and stick to that. Or like, I need to pick a major and I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a doctor. Like me, I thought I was going to be a doctor. Here I am in Hawaii studying volcanoes. The most polar opposite thing. But like you said, so how do you define confidence? So confidence would just be visualizing that when you're doing things, you're doing them the right way, and you're going to be successful as a result of your actions. I think just being sure of your actions, being sure of your path, I would think is confidence, right? Like you set the goal of what you want to do. So for me, right now, I'm trying to walk on to the football team. 27 years old, haven't played football in almost 9-10 years, right? And I'm confident in all my actions that I'm doing now because I have the vision for what I want to do, right? The vision is to make the team, right? But it's even beyond that, right? I really just want to inspire people to show that, if you set your mind, body, and soul on something you want to achieve, and you just work your ass off and do everything you can, step outside of your comfort zone to get there. I mean, you got to reach out to other people. You need to make connections, because a lot in this world of getting to where you need to be, where you want to be, is making connections with other people that can help you get there, right? Mm-hmm. It's really tough to do things on your own, right? We are people, and we are a very social species, everything we do, we're not extremely self-sufficient. I mean, if take someone and put them in solitary confinement and see how long they last before they turn crazy. People need other people. They need support. They need friends. I'm sorry if, maybe there's some of you out there, outliers that are just fine being a loner, but I feel like people really do need support. And in order to go where you need to go, like for me, trying to play football, I need to make connections with coaches, with players, with mentors, coaches, even like Kate, really, that's why I reached out to her. I didn't finish, but I ended up waiting like a month, and then I called her and I said, hey, Kate, I'm looking to walk on the football team. I'm a PhD student here at UH, and I'm looking to be on the team. What are your thoughts on that? And how do you think I should go about it? I called you. I reached out, stepped outside my comfort zone and talked to you, and then you helped connect me with others. You connect me to Coach Chevelle and Coach Trevor, some sprint coaches, and it really helped me out there. And I really learned a lot from them. And then it gave me more confidence. You guys gave me more confidence because you believed in me. You're like, Brandon, I'm reaching out to make this connection because I believe in you. I see you have potential, and I want to help you to reach that potential. I remember you saying that, and I really appreciated that from the bottom of my heart, that you cared that much about me. You even bought me a pair of shoes, and I just like, so I was so, I guess, taken back by it, because it's like, here's this, lady that I've never actually even met in person my whole life, and she's runs a business. She's an entrepreneur, and you just, out of the kindness of your heart, decided to buy me shoes. Some, guy that you only talk to maybe 4 times or less,
Well, you know
So
why I did it, right? I mean, because obviously you needed new shoes because I saw your shoes and I can't help it. Like, I am a mother and I do have that thing, but it was because I knew, Brandon, that your whole life you have been taking care of other people. Like, if someone needed a lawn mowing, it's like you were the man, even from a young age, you were the man. You were the man, the model of the man in your family, for your neighbors, in your work. It was just, you took that seriously, to show up for people. And so it's like the gesture is small, but it really was, for me, it's like, dude, how does it feel to receive? And I think was actually kind of a what I saw as the beginning of you being more open to receiving all kinds of things, right? Success, vision, you really took some huge leaps into your best self, including like being in a relationship with someone that's really requiring a lot of honest conversation and intimacy and expressing your needs. And, it's a big ass deal. So I just think it's amazing. So thank you for that, for sharing that story. I appreciate you. It's embarrassing, but it's awesome. I love you. So tell me a little bit about what your view, because this is I'm releasing Claim You're a Warrior book in December at some point, but from that, what does that word warrior mean to you? Because it brings up all kinds of connotation. But I'm really committed to helping men embrace their masculine energy, because we need you guys to do that. And I think our society crushes it. It really upsets me when I hear people say, "Oh, all men are this or that." I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you generalizing? It upsets me. It really deeply upsets me. So what is it for you? How do you define a warrior, and how can we support other men to be their own version of that?
Yeah, so before this call, I started thinking more about that, and I looked up the definition just to see what it says. Define warrior on Google, and it says warrior, a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. So that's what it says in the definition of a warrior. So that makes it automatically think that, you're someone who's going, to war, going to war, you're a soldier, there's an enemy that you're trying to kill. I just think of it as being like back in the day, warriors, fight or a US, troop or something. But I think today there's a better definition of it. You don't necessarily have to be in the military to be a warrior. So I came up with a definition real quick. I thought it was a little better. Someone who is battling for success for themselves and or others. So one thing that's key in that is battling, right? A warrior goes to battle, whether you're battling in combat against some adversary or whether it's an internal battle, right? A spiritual battle with your thoughts or with yourself, or what you're trying to become versus what you are now versus what you think you can never become, right? And even just like back when I was a kid, I would like steal things, from the store, and I, think, oh, I could steal this, pack of gum. Like, should I do it? It's like that. I don't really want to pay for it, and that's an internal battle, right? And you're thinking, I don't really want to do it, but you're battling with yourself to make the right decision. Whether you make the right decision or not, I guess that's whether you win or lose that battle. But we're going to more and more battles, and ultimately you want to win the war. So you might win some battles, you lose some. You're not always gonna to win your battles, but the most important thing about being a warrior and being a good one is continuing to stay positive and continuing to fight and move on. If you lose a battle, hey, whatever, I learned from it. You got to learn from it, and then you get better, and you just continue to grow, and then you become a stronger and stronger warrior through experience, through challenges. And you again, like I said earlier, like how I tell myself, you can't think back in the past and think, wow, like I lost when I tried, a year ago, whatever, when I went to walk on. You know, I didn't make the team. The walk-on tryouts were canceled, so I didn't get a chance. But say I did try out and say I failed, you know, say I lost the battle. They're like, kid, you're just not big enough, or you're not fast enough. Well, I would have continued. No, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to continue to try out, you know, continue the next year. I didn't care. You know, eventually I was going to get to the point, or I was just going to be persistent enough where they at least gave me a shot to put on a uniform and get out on the field to see what I can do. So a warrior can be many things. It could be, for instance, my dad's a nurse, right? He's a nurse, a male nurse, right? Not all nurses are women. That's another sort of maybe stereotypical thing about, you know, men. Men have to be strong. They have to be football players. They have to, you know, be aggressive. Men can be caring, compassionate. You know, men want to help others just as much as women do. So my dad, he goes to battle every night. He goes in that hospital. He works in the burn unit in Orange County, California, where there's tons of wildfires and everything, car accidents, you know, people saying like all kinds of stuff we don't even want to really get into that he tells me about. But he goes in there to battle to save people's lives. You know, he's putting all of his time, his energy, his years of knowledge and reading from books and learning to save people from death. He's battling death for other people. So that's another thing, battling to save others, battling to save your own life, and battling for success, for where you want to be a week from now, a year from now, 10 years from now. You know, you're constantly in a battle. So I think everyone has the warrior within them, but for different degrees. And some people might not know that they have that warrior, and they need to bring it out, and they need to realize that they are a warrior, and they need to become stronger and a better warrior.
Gosh, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that you embrace the word, the battle, to battle, right? Because we mostly think, oh my God, you're battling things that you're not going to overcome. And that's really like coming from like a victim mentality, right? That, you know, that, I lost the battle. That's what we think of. But no, it's like you're battling to win. And what's the matter with that? You know, and how do you shore up support? How do you bring in the support as you battle? Because you can't, battling alone is no fun, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and even when you talk, I love that you talked about the emotional and spiritual too, because there is battles that we need to internally win, you know, self-sabotaging behaviors, anxiety, feelings of loneliness, unworthiness. These are all real things. And how do we bring them to the surface and then make them, we're warriors because we persevered.
For sure. I will also give a shout out to all the moms out there battling their kids every night. I remember my mom had to battle my brother every night to get him to brush his teeth. It's like, Brett, brush your teeth and go to bed. No, 5 more minutes. No, and they're like, okay, Brett, it's been 5 minutes. No, 5 minutes. 2 more 5 minutes. We're like, wait, do you mean 2 5 minutes or 25 minutes? I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's another thing, battling your kids. You know, your parents are trying to shape their kids to be a certain way. Maybe, you know, you let them learn on their own, but also you want your kids to be successful, or at least what you think is success for your kids. So a lot of parents, as kids grow up, you know, become that adolescent phase, like me and my mom. I wanted to play football. You know, my parents, like my mom, didn't really think I should. So we had a battle back and forth. Brandon, you know, get a job. You know, if you want to drive, you got to pay for your insurance. You know, you can't have a job if you play football. But it's like, well, I want to play football. You know, this is what I love to do. It's passionate about it. I love my teammates. I love the camaraderie, you know. And so, you know, you have that battle. You win some, you lose some. It's like, who really won that battle? I don't know, because I moved all the way across the country. So it's like in a way, it was a win-lose. I don't know what it was, but
well, you persevered, right? I think that's what it's about, really, is the persevering, but still being respectful of the, you know, you still were like, Mom, sorry, this is something I need to do. And even though you felt bad and it brought up like anxiety and did I do the right thing? It's like you birthed a new part of you through that challenge, you know? We never really know. I love what you talked about, and I'm gonna ask you one more question, but I love that you brought up the fact that it's perspective. It's like the battle is looking back and saying, what did I learn?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's your own perspective. Someone else might be like, dude, you totally won the battle. You crushed that battle. What are you talking about? And you're like, I don't know. I think I could have did more, or it didn't turn out, or I got there, but the methods in which I took to get there were outside of my morals, or
Mm.
wasn't the path that I wanted to take, or I had to burn some bridges to get there, and that's another thing. And like, if we talk about success, that's another thing about success. You want to be successful, and you say you reached your goal, you might not take the path that you think to reach that goal in the first place. God works in mysterious ways. So if you're meant to be there, he'll get you there, but you might not like the path to get there.
It's so true. And then learning the lessons along the way, not beating yourself up over it, like you said, right? So if
For
I
sure.
usually ask, yeah, it's a big part of it. So I usually ask this question at the end of the interview. And so the question is this: if you had a billboard all your own, and you could put something on there that you wanted people to know, do you have an idea of what that would be?
Hmm. If you want people to know, what do you want people to know? Try to, how many words does it have to be?
It doesn't matter. It could be like, a couple billboards, but I guess the most important thing is like what the wisdom that you want to share with people from your perspective, where you are now. It can be for other guys, it can be, your mantra, your walk, your whatever.
Okay, so it'd be something along the lines is mindset is everything. Stay positive. You know,
Mm,
so if it was short and simple, like your mindset is your reality. Stay positive,
ooh,
right?
mhm,
Because your reality and what you experience in this world is a product of you and your actions and your past actions. You, believe it or not, you shape your own reality. Now, you might not see that right now because it's always evolving in real time and happens so subtly over, you wake up, you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, but give it time and you can shape your own reality. Like, there are infinite possibilities. I was a physics major as an undergrad, and I took a quantum physics class. I know it sounds really scary, quantum physics, but one of the things we learned is that science tells us that nothing is really set in stone, right? Nothing is a certainty. And the only thing this is outside, a little bit outside of science class, but the only thing you know for certain is that you are having some sort of experience right now. Everything else is up for debate, right? You turn on the news, it tells you one thing. You look on social media, it tells you another. You talk to someone, it tells you. Don't look to some old guy with glasses on the TV to tell you what's real and what's not. You need to, in your own perception, your own mind, choose what you believe to be true and focus on the positives. Don't think about the worst things of your situation. Only focus on the positives. You can acknowledge, you can learn from your mistakes, but set your mind on the positives and, try to focus on that, because the more you think about that you're living in a great world, and have an awesome life, and just have that mindset that God is good and that this is a wonderful world, then if you have that every day, it will shape the world to being that way. And that happens through just your subtle actions, just smiling at somebody down the street, or saying hello, or helping a stranger jump their car. They're going to be like, wow, this person did that for me and didn't ask anything in return. Well, that energy is going to be contagious, and then they're going to do that for someone else, and you're going to brighten other people's days. And just by living your life, powerfully positive, you're going to change the world over time. It will become a better world. So don't focus on the things that you can't control, like politics, whatever, COVID, all that stuff. Don't worry about that. Only worry about and focus on what you can control and those positives, and just try to bring the best out of yourself and out of others. So on a billboard, I guess it would be that
I love
simple
that.
phrase, but that's sort of the
Mindset
meaning.
is your reality. Stay positive.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. Brandon, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really appreciative for all of your wisdom and your knowledge and just your overall vibe that you bring to the world. You have exude this really wonderful quality that I'm sure the people around you in Hawaii and through the wire here now really can feel and appreciate. And I'm thankful for you. So thank you.
I'm thankful for you too. It's that aloha spirit.
And thank you to the listeners and viewers of Survive to Thrive. Thank you for joining us. And as Brandon's billboard would state, mindset is your reality. Stay positive. Make it a great day. And thanks again for joining us.